On this edition of Dspl Weekly, Birmingham debuts its revamped roster. It's out of the frying pan and into the fire for Boston's new general manager, and Colorado and Pignite fight to close out the first half over 500. That and more as we preview Week 5 in the Dork Side Pokemon League. Next. Hello. Welcome back to the Dork Side Pokemon League in Dspl Weekly. I'm your host and commissioner of the Dspl. I am Grumm. As always, it is good to have you, good to see you. Leave a like below and subscribe for more Dork Side Pokemon League content. We're growing the league together, and I'm on my way to 200 subscribers on this channel, and with your help, we can accomplish both of those objectives. And we've got 6 incredible matchups this week, 2 general managers taking over, and matches with playoff implications already this early in the season ahead of us. But before all that, let's take a look at our predictions so far. I came into the week 11-5 thanks to a 3-1 Week 3 slate, and following the forfeits in Week 3 and Week 4's results, I moved to 19-6 on the season. The community's prediction game is just as strong, finishing Week 4 17-5-3. Comment below your predictions for Week 5 or join the larger community by going to discord.grumm.tv. Now, let's get into our matchups for this week, Week 5 of the Dork Side Pokemon League. We kick off Week 5 with a New England affair as the Cambridge Clodsires, undefeated and in first place, take on the woefully defeated and in last place, Boston Bronzors. Cambridge sits at 4-0 with a plus 14 differential thanks to the effort of General Manager Duff Guy Pat and his trusted trio of Great Tusk, Dragapult, and Terra Captain Clawitzer, who leads the teams in knockouts. This will be the first official game in the DSPL for General Manager Hobb, who takes over the 0-4 Bronzors, having a dreadful minus 14 score differential. Hobb recently made some moves, adding Cleavor and new Terra Captain Titan to a team anchored by the defensive Corviknight. With Boston coming off of 3 forfeit losses, interim general manager Hobb decided that enough was enough and it's time for a change, as he added Titan and Cleaver this week, dropping Ampharos and Weirdeer, and using up all that delicious cap space. Titan pairs up well with Galarian Slowking, whose chilly reception gives Titan double speed in the snow as well as a boost to its physical defense. Perhaps with a newly acquired sweeper in the snow, Cantonian Articuno comes out to help apply pressure with its surprising bulk and freeze-dry stab to threaten the core of Cambridge. Add in screen support from Grimmsnarl, Rotomwash's great bulk and momentum support, as well as Corviknight being one of the best hazard removers in the entire Pokemon game to answer the threat from Clodsire. Boston can really start their season comeback off with a bang. Cambridge is coming off of an impressive victory over Pignite in Week 3 and a win via forfeit over Birmingham in Week 4. But do not tell General Manager Duff Guy Pat that this match doesn't represent a chance to send a message to the rest of the league. Much has been said of Dragapult and Great Tusk, who have served their roles as key members of the Clods, as has team mascot Clodsire, who leads the league in hazards and statuses. But it's about time Clawitzer gets talked about by me as one of the best Terra Captains in the league, leading all Terra Captains in knockouts with 6, which overall puts it in the top 5 of the league. I expect a big week out of it this week, as well as its water typing will come in handy both defensively against the Titan's Ice Stab and offensively, as only Rotomwashes resist water type moves. Duff Guy Pat also has done a great job using each member of his team every week, as every Pokemon who has come into battle thus far this season has a knockout. And I think this week Maushold becomes the latest to do so. Fast taunts to prevent chilly reception, screens, and setup is good this week, but more importantly, with the addition of Cleavor for Boston, Tidy Up provides Maushold a chance to set up and remove hazards itself, allowing it to hit strong population bombs on the likes of Grimmsnarl and Rotomwash. I also think this may be a good week for Regieleki, as Boston currently doesn't have a ground type, and no member of Bronzors can resist its electric typing. We are in for a fun one, as Hobb does have a win in the DSPL, just not in an official manner, so he has a chance to earn his first one and give Cambridge their first loss. But Cambridge is undefeated for a reason. I think for Boston, the key Pokemon is Galarian Slowbro. We've seen how good the other Galarian slow Pokemon can be in the right matchup, and I think this week, between setting up Snow and letting Titan come in without taking damage, and being a grounded poison type to soak up Toxic Spikes as well as switch in on Toxic, provides Boston with a real strong support Pokemon who can also threaten Trick Room, perhaps, and hit hard Psychic type moves for Great Tusk and Clodsire. I think the key Pokemon for Cambridge is going to be Regieleki. Nothing can resist its electric typing, and nothing will be able to outspeed it. If Cambridge can lessen the impact of screens from Grimmsnarl, Regieleki is in fine shape with choice specs to do some real damage. Despite these two teams being on the opposite side of the standings, this matchup is incredibly better than it looks on paper. That's because Boston has had a roster of strong Pokemon just in need of a change here and there, and I think Hob has gotten a fine team out of it. I think it doesn't have enough Pokemon though that can risk Cambridge's attack, and I think Hob will play well, but Cambridge will stay undefeated, winning this matchup 2-0. Heading down under next is the 7th place Aussie Illusion will host the 4th place Arizona Diamondbacks. Aussie is about as middle of the road as you can get. After a 2-0 loss to Colorado and a 3-0 victory over Boston via forfeit in week 3, Aussie stands at 2-2 with a -1 differential. Trick Room has given all of their opponents fits, keeping them on their toes, but General Manager Ozzie Marcus just hasn't been able to take full advantage of that despite hitters like Terra Captain Caparaja, knockout leader of the team King Gambit, and the intimidating presence of Goldengo. Arizona, on the other hand, has bounced back nicely since its week 1 loss to San Antonio, coming into this matchup with a 3-win streak, giving it a 3-1 record with 7 differential. That's thanks to the rise of Sneasler and Kilowattrel, as well as the support of Ting Lu in recent weeks. General Manager AW has the backs humming going into this matchup. Much like Cambridge has, Arizona has changed their team up often week to week, and to great success. Iron Bundle is the only member of the Diamondbacks that AW has brought to battle every week, despite its lackluster performances. The performance of Kilowattrel and Sneasler, however, are anything but lackluster, as the two are top 10 in the league in knockouts. I don't know which of the three will come into battle this week, as their speeds against the Trick Room Illusion are worse than it is good. I expect Ting Lu to lead the slow portions of the team, as its power and typing gives it a great matchup this week. Add in Bronzong and Dashbun as Pokemon with good matchups, good bulk, and in the case of Bronzor, the kind of speed tier that thrives in Trick Room. If Ozzie Marcus doesn't go with Define on King Gambit this week, which arguably cost him last week, I expect Arizona to bring Intimidate Gyarados to lower the impact of the physical attackers that Ozzie has on its roster. Ozzie has a brutal matchup this week. You'd think that Arizona is too fast and too frail to deal with Trick Room, but not only does Arizona have Pokemon that can underspeed Ozzie in Trick Room, they also have the types that can make it hell on Caparaja, King Gambit, and Iron Hands. Hell, Bronzong walls Hatterene, Cresselia, and Diancie. I think this week is a week where Ozzie needs a game plan more to not fully rely on Trick Room. I think Goldengo is a must-bring this week. Its Ghost Steel typing gives Ozzie something to deal with Bronzor, and I think this is the week that Glastrier makes its debut. It has the defenses to take some hits outside of Trick Room, and in Trick Room, it is slow enough to outspeed and hits like a truck. Plus, the Ice typing gives them an answer for Ting Lu's ground typing that Ozzie is weak to otherwise. Ozzie is up against it this week, and with a chance to keep up with either Pig's Eye or Colorado, this is a tough match to do that. Arizona doesn't have it easy either though, because they still need to perform and they're going to have to rely on bulk this week. I think for Arizona, their key Pokemon this week is Ting Lu. There's an argument to be made for Bronzong with its Steel Psychic typing, but it lacks the power that Ting Lu has. Ting Lu also has the favorable matchup against King Gambit, which leads the Illusion in knockouts. For the Illusion, I think their key Pokemon is Goldengo. Sure, it doesn't match up well against Ting Lu, but it does provide the Illusion with an answer for Bronzor, who gives the Illusions their second biggest issue this week. Goldengo also walls Sneasler, resists the Ice typing of Bundle and the Flying type of Kilowattrel, offering Ozzie something to cause Arizona to think. I am the Illusion's biggest fan. I think highly of the roster and of General Manager Ozzie Marcus. I love Trick Room. I even installed one in my apartment, but this matchup is just not a good one. The Diamondbacks have the right combination of Pokemon that will take attacks and waste Trick Room turns with a General Manager in AW who isn't afraid of getting uncomfortable and playing slow to set his team up for victory. I think Ozzie tries as much as one can, but I think the Diamondbacks will outlast the Illusion's Trick Room terror and win this one 3-0. We head to the land of tea and biscuits as the 9th place British Bangers host the 10th place Corpus Christi Crowbats. The Bangers enter this matchup at 1-3 with a -2 differential as they lost to Arizona last week 3-0. The Bangers played very well in their last two matchups, which has General Manager Oren hoping to build off the momentum that Masquerada, Garganacl, and Stalwart Quagsire have been building in recent weeks. The Crobats also enter this week's battle 1-3, but with a much worse -9 differential. A win would put them above the British Bangers, which is something General Manager CJ is hoping happens thanks to the brute power of Garchomp, Charizard, and Gallade. Corpus Christi is an interesting team as they have a lot of solid Pokemon, but no outright threats other than Garchomp, who recently got scale shot with the Teal Mask DLC, which upped its speed at the cost of a defense drop. Gallade has been inconsistent, as some weeks it aids the team just fine, and some weeks it just outright stinks. And this week, Charizard is a real boom or bust addition. It matches up incredibly well against the grass type that British has been bringing as of late, but it is not a great matchup into the defensive walls that British has largely relied on this season. I think this week Serena and Rillaboom come along as their grass typings match up well this week, both offensively and even defensively. Serena's role as a hazard remover is also important, and Rillaboom can use the grass terrain to set up grassy glides for priority and boost its own grass type moves. And after sitting on the bench last week, I think Miss Magus should come as well, especially if CJ names it a Terra Captain, a fairy type in particular, to flip its weakness to dark types like Meowscarada. British has played better than their record has shown, and I think the differential of -2 does show that. They've been competitive thanks to Garganacl, Quagsire, and Toxapex's defensive abilities, and with Meowscarada showing out last week, perhaps this week we see another offensive Pokemon make its name, either Terra Captain Flareon or Arcanine, whose fire types have a solid matchup this week, is just the raw power of it. I think if Orin wants to get up hazards, then Brambleghast is someone to bring, with both Serena and Donphan being the only hazard removers with Rapid Spin on the Crobats roster, as well as being able to take an Earthquake from Garchomp and lower its attack with a Strength Sap, or setting up a Leech Life to help the Bangers get some extra healing. And if hazards is the goal, the new addition Spidops may make its season debut, as its Sticky Web would help the Bangers mid-speed mons like Flareon, Tinkaton, and Honchkrow. This will be a fun match, as both teams have clear strengths and clear weaknesses. For Orin and the Bangers, he's going to rely on Quagsire a lot this week. Meowscarada was a candidate for key Pokemon, but I think Quagsire's unaware ability, as well as Recover, lets it tank some hits and threaten with either super effective moves, hazards, or toxic status. For Corpus Christi, I think CJ should lean into his first round pick, Garchomp, who can set up on the more passive Pokemon on the team and do some serious damage, especially with Scale Shot giving it a speed boost to outspeed Meowscarada. This matchup is really just a toss-up. It depends on the GMs putting in the work pre-match to decide which members of the team give them their best chance at victory. If British brings their grass types and Corpus Christi brings their Charizard, this looks like it'll go in the Crobats' favor. But if the Bangers bring their hazards and CJ doesn't bring a remover, then British can handle this. I think somewhere in between is where these teams land, but I think Corpus Christi gets a win here 1-0. Before we continue with our preview, I'd like to tell you about Grumm TV. Grumm.tv is me, Grumm, and all my content from Twitch streams to YouTube videos and streams to podcasts to the overall larger community, the Grummunity, if you will. Grumm.tv will take you to my Linktree where you can find all the links to those, as well as my Patreon where you can get these videos early. On behalf of Grumm.tv and Grumm TV in general, I thank you for watching this video and my other ones as well. If you're enjoying these videos in the Dork Side Pokemon League, I just ask that you leave a like and subscribe. It's free and it fills me up with that good dopamine. You know what I'm talking about? I truly appreciate your support. Leading off the second half of the week is the 11th place Birmingham Bouffalints as they take on the 5th place Long Island Ducklets. New interim general manager Corman gets a tall task as well this week as he takes over a team that is 0-4 with a -12 differential. Corman has made a lot of changes this week, but still on the squad are Ursaluna, Chi-Yu, and Zoroark. Coming off of a victory of the previously undefeated Spheal, General Manager Johnner1223 is riding high, but has to be wary of that new look Boofs. But at 3-1 with a +5 differential, the Ducklets have been playing very well, with Terra Captain Hisuian Electrode, Landorus T, and Hisuian Samurott all playing key roles. Long Island's difficulty this week is figuring out a new general manager with new Pokemon and figuring out what he'll be facing. He can easily bring Hisuian Electrode, Hisuian Samurott, and Landorus this week, as they all have good cover for each other. But with the new look Boofs adding more potential hazard setters, Iron Treads can look to come back into the lineup to deal with the hazards, as its Iron Ground typing lets it handle Toxic Spikes and Rocks very well. Murkrow also has value this week, as its Prankster Taunt offers a way to handle potential setups, hazards, and screens from the Bouffalints. Iron Valiant is a must-bring as well, as its flexibility as an attacker lets the Ducklets have another special attacker to help Electrodes load, as well as matching up well against the Fighting, Dark, and Dragon types that Birmingham now has. Maybe Ditto comes in case things get too far out of hand and Long Island needs to counter a sweeper. There's just a lot of questions for Johnner, but he might just have enough to answer them all. Now let's talk about the Boofs. The paperwork was flying out of Birmingham as General Manager Cornman made some major changes, dropping 7 Pokemon this week and adding 8, as Birmingham dropped Ursaring, Beartick, Teddiursa, Rotom-Heat, Poltegeist, Amoonguss, and Pincurkin. While some of these Pokemon are capable of playing a role in a team somewhere, they just didn't help Birmingham much. The Pokemon that Birmingham picked up though, Pokemon like Klefki, Toedscool, Hisuian Braviary, Toxtricity, and Salamence add immense value. And Carbink, Surskit, and Bayonet are value pickups with niche roles. Welcome to your new look Bouffalince. But how does Bouffalince 6 look for this week? I think Chi-Yu, Ursaluna, and Zoroark joined their new teammate, Klefki, whose Prankster Hazard set them up with chip damage. Toxtricity hard counters Hisuian Electrode, and finally Salamence, who can set up with a Dragon Dance and outspeed everything but a speed boosted Iron Valiant that Long Island can have. An argument can be made to swap out Zoroark with Bayonet to block Rapid Spin though, now that I think about it. It'll be interesting to see where Cornman goes. New blood is exciting, and Cornman is eager to show he's got the stuff for a team of his own next season. I think he leans into the new additions in Salamence, whose flexibility as a support bond with Intimidate for the depth of physical attackers in Long Island, or to set up and roll with Moxie boosted Dragon Dances, giving the Bouffalince a fighter's chance against one of the more experienced general managers in the league. Long Island's going to need one hell of a week from Iron Valiant whichever way. It matches up well this week, as its fighting fairy type gives it favorable matchups against much of the new Boufs. Add in its special attacking prowess, and there goes any Intimidate shenanigans. Both teams are up against it, with Birmingham needing to really start handling business if they want to make a push for a playoffs, especially in the differential department. Long Island once thought that this would be an easier matchup, but now looks challenging and has to win, and win by a significant margin in hopes of keeping up with the rest of the 3-1 teams that lead them in the differential department. I think experience is where this matchup comes down to, and Johnner just has a better feel of the competitive scene than Cornman, and that'll be what puts Long Island on the winning side of things, as I have the Ducklets winning 2-0. In a showdown of two teams that Long Island is chasing, the third place Minnesota Doduos host the second place San Antonio Spheal. The Doduos come into this one 3-1 with a differential of +8 thanks to General Manager Basque's offensive assault strategy. With Pokemon like Noivern, Cinderace, and league leader in knockouts like in Rock Dusk, Minnesota's strategy has worked like a charm. General Manager Berger has had a successful strategy of his own, as the Spheal sit at 3-1 and a +9 differential thanks to sun-abusing Pokemon like Walking Wake, Volcarona, and Roaring Moon. San Antonio finally got burnt by relying on the sun last week though, as Torkoal got taken out in one shot on turn 1, capping the sun at 8 turns for San Antonio. I think this week with the amount of threats on Minnesota, Berger is going to have to risk having second degree burns. But if Berger changes things up, bringing in his rain team with Pokemon like Pelipper, Cantonian Electrode, and Terra Captain Swift Swim Overquill, he can catch Basque and Minnesota off guard and even outspeed them, especially with Booster Energy Walking Wake. And Volcanion has good physical bulk, giving Berger a Pokemon that can hit back hard after taking a hit. Everyone, Minnesota has finally done it. After weeks of publicly calling for it, Jolteon has been named a Terra Captain. And Terra Ice, at that, Terra Fairy! And we saw how important Terra Fairy was last week against the Spheal, and Basque made the call. But not just that, in an oddly smart move, Minnesota has also named Leafeon a Terra Captain with Rock Terra, who provides a Pokemon that loves the sun more than San Antonio's own with Chlorophyll and is not weak to it. I think swapping out Greninja with Leafeon gives Minnesota a real threat this week in the sun that San Antonio will struggle with, and if San Antonio does bring the rain, Swift Swim Badge Legion offers that same role. Either way, Minnesota has multiple damage move go burr options this week. In what I consider a volatile matchup, each team has to get the right Pokemon out there. But funnily enough, I think this does come down to the top 2 knockout leaders in the league. For San Antonio, Roaring Moon has a chance to stake a claim at the knockout leaders. Dragon Dance with Life Orb or Dragon Dance with Booster Energy gives the Spheal a Pokemon that can outdamage Minnesota and outspeed it. Lycanroc Dusk should have something to say about that though, with its Choice Scarf Pure Power, including a Celorock to ignore all those speed boosts on the Spheal side of things. But more importantly, it's a rock type that threatens huge damage to most of San Antonio's roster this week. General managers Berger and Basque can simply stick with what has worked for them this week. They can also make changes ahead of an important battle. If both stand put on their previous teams, this one's a little tougher to call, as Basque's play has been pretty predictable, attack and die, only switching out once this season. But it's actually been extremely effective. And Berger's shown his ability to adjust in-game thus far this season and would know when to switch and when to let a Pokemon fall. But if either of these teams change things up, that's when it'll get interesting. I think both of them do actually change them up. And I think Basque's inexperienced and overeager to go burr with the damage moves will end up costing him, as I have San Antonio winning this one 2-0. And in our premium matchup, a battle to go into the second half of the season over 500 as the 6th place Pignite take on the 8th place Colorado Dugtrio. Didac has had an up and down season coming into this matchup 2-2 with a +1 differential, as the Mono's ghost typing for the Pignite has had its fair share of highlights and lowlights. But with Pokemon like Annihilate, Hoop Unbound, and Hisuian Typhlosion, the Pignite have hope that this week will start a second half surge. Colorado comes into this match very similarly, up and down, but far more up recently, as they have a 2-game winning streak to have them at also 2-2, but with a -3 differential. An important week for the Colorado, who already has a win over a fellow 2-2 team Aussie Illusion. Look for Galarian Slowbro, Tornadus Therian, and Zapdos to continue to charge forward for the Dugtrios. Colorado's seen a recent string of success thanks to good play, good roster manage, and some luck, but Tornadus Therian has been on a roll, tied for 3rd in the league with 7 knockouts, and is supported by its teammates like Scizor and Blaze, Paldean, and Tauros, who chip away at their opponents with priority moves and status respectively. I think this week is a week we can see some change from Colorado. The amount of ground weak Pokemon means we may get an appearance from one of the 2 Dugtrio on the team. I think actually a Alolan Dugtrio's steel typing gives it the edge over Cantonian Dugtrio, as it gives it more resistances, as well as another stab typing against Mimikyu and Frostlass. I could also see Lucario making a return this week to the lineup, as its mixed attacker potential gives Colorado a nice option on offense. Pig's Eye, on the other hand, is a 500 team that just kind of feels stuck, partly due to its Ghost Monotype, which they've leaned off of in a move to drop Oricorio Sensu in favor of the hazard stacking Glimmora, who pairs nicely with Annihilate, whose immunity to Rapid Spin and its Define ability punish would-be defoggers. The other part of being stuck is just being very predictable due to the Ghost typing and the reintroduction of Knockoff in the Teal Mask DLC that has made many Pokemon have strong options to hit Ghost types. But the good side of being stuck is Didac is seeing things working, like the Hisuian Ghost pair of Typhlosion and Zoroark, who have had strong performances this season. As far as this week, I think Glim, Typhlosion, and Hoopa Unbound fit very well this week. Annihilate is too good to ever bench, but this week is certainly not its strongest weeks, with all the flying types. Gengar's raw power and speed is good this week, perhaps allowing another air balloon ground immunity week for it. And maybe we see the debut of Support Dracloak, whose dragon typing offers more resistances to fire and electric types. I don't think that there's been a more evenly matchup this season at all. I think the difference really comes down to which key Pokemon performs better. For Pig's Eye, I think that's Glimmora is the key. That unlocks the matchup, because between its hazards and the synergy with Annihilate, the plus is already there. But add in its rock typing and corrosion ability that can poison everything, Glim can make an impact for the Pig's Eyes immediately. For Colorado, it's their knockout leader in Tornadus, who matches up well in terms of typing and speed this week. It's the fastest Pokemon in the match, and only Glimmora resists its flying stab on the Pig's Eye roster. I don't know how to call this one. If this video comes out later in the week, perhaps on Sunday even, this match is why. I've gone back and forth. I've looked at their common opponent in Aussie, who beat the Pig's Eye Pignite and lost to Colorado. But when you look at it, it could have just been the other way in each battle. Both GMs have grown and gotten better as the season has gone. I have to make a prediction, and I just really think that the Pig's Eye Pignite will head into the second half of the season with a win and be over 500 for the first time this season, as I have them winning 1-0. So there you have it, week 5, primed and ready for another great week in the Dork Side Pokemon League. Will Cambridge stay undefeated? Can Cornman surprise everyone in his debut? And who will climb towards better seeding for the playoffs? And who will fall towards the bottom of the league? We will find out Sunday, October 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern, as I will stream all of week 5 live on twitch.tv/tgrum and on YouTube here, same channel, and all the links will be below as well. Remember to like and subscribe for more Dork Side Pokemon League content, and comment below who you have winning each game this week. I am Grumm, and I will see you all for more DSPL goodness next time.
Grumm TV thanks you for watching this presentation of the Dork Side Pokemon League.